Okay, I'm back. I know I didn't give a lot of review on that cigar, but essentially, about midway point through the cigar, it kind of stayed where it was at, kind of an ashy taste, dark essences to it with the hints of some kind of burnt nut around the edges, so to speak, and hints of spices. As the cigar went down further and further towards the very end of the butt, the spices got lighter and lighter and lighter and almost basically disappeared, but you could still taste a hint of pepper on the palate. So anyway, just wanted to make that comment. So anyway, so you wanted to go get something to eat somewhere, or?
Yeah, probably.
I'm getting a little hungry myself. Almost 2 o'clock.
Oh,
About time to eat. But you don't want to eat any of that Middle Eastern stuff?
You ever heard of Cafe Byblos? BYB? Have you ever eaten there?
I think it's just pretty expensive.
Oh, I know that. I just somebody said it's supposed. I'd never heard of it. Joey eats it every. Joey
Wow.
thinks he's Middle Eastern now. I mean, he's learning the language.
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor guy. I mean,
Well, one of the things is was because the women.
well, yeah, that's the.
Because I mean, he's like, man, they're real. You know, they're not like American girls. They're, you know.
He called me the other day, yesterday, about hair loss stuff because he's losing some hair. You know, he wants to be a hair beautician.
No.
Oh yeah.
Tell him to go talk to Asa.
Well, the thing is, well, anyway, so he's using this stuff, this Nioxin stuff, and I said, you know, and plus he's taking vitamins and stuff, and because I've been through all this, I have this and that, yeah. This, no. Okay, go get you a supplement of this and wheat germ oil.
Wheat germ oil will help your hair. I mean, but you get oily all over the place.
Well, not when. What were you taking? Like
I was taking a lot.
shot at a time. You're supposed to do like
spoon.
less than a teaspoon.
No, I was
Mix
taking,
it with milk.
I was taking a shot. And
Oh,
man,
no,
I was
that's crazy.
Covered in oil, man.
That's crazy.
Beard and the hair.
No, if you do it right, what'll happen is you take it every day until you start getting some gloss to your hair. Then you cut back, and again,
It gives a lot of body.
it gives it body. It feels better.
If women wanted to have their hair like they did when they were young, wheat germ oil.
Absolutely.
Just a little bit.
But here's the key on wheat germ oil. Here's the key on wheat germ oil. And this is what, maybe I didn't make it clear to you. Your body will not absorb properly unless you mix it. Okay?
Orange juice or
Orange juice or ideally milk. Milk is the best conduit. You shake it up, a little teaspoon with about 2 shots of milk.
What about like other juices?
Orange juice is fine.
Grape juice,
other juices,
apple juice.
Yeah, any juice. Milk is the best because what happens is the globules
It breaks it down small.
will break it down to very, very small globules where the lining of your stomach will be able to absorb it properly.
Well, I could see maybe like some kind of acidic acid, like in lemons, because you mix that with oil and it
Maybe,
makes
I
it
don't know.
fine. Yeah, they might be a little tart, but
There's a great book out. The book I learned this from, a book called Healthy Hair and Common Sense by Dale Alexander. One of, again, one of the 70s pioneers of health foods and things like that. And he'll go all through it. Here's a guy, bald as a cue ball, grew hair. And
wow, but up to 5 years.
Right. Oh, you can only. He said, and that's the thing. His hair is very sparse, but he did regrow hair. Up to 5 years of loss, you can typically regrow hair. And his thing was, here he was. Now, of course, there's a lot of genetics, and science has looked at a lot of this. They've got ways to do it, but he looked at his brother. Here's a guy bald as a cue ball when he's 17. Looked at his brother, full head of hair. So somehow he got to eating habits, and he watched his brother. His brother always ate raw foods. His brother was always nibbling on carrots, raw carrots, and he'd go to the grocery store. He'd watch bald people shop. What were they buying? Ice cream, sugar, refined sugar out the wazoo. People with full heads of hair typically were buying good foods, raw foods, natural foods. He did his research and he came out with a little program, helped him regrow what he could regrow. And it helped me when I was losing my hair. So there you go. But vitamins, and I don't even hear Rogaine supposedly will regrow only the crown, not up front. And there's some other products, Avocor and some other things. I'm not sure what they do. But the key is, and it's like a lot of things, is you want to try to reset the clock. There's a genetic clock. Hair, will be lost. Males get dihydrotestosterone builds up in the scalp, and a lot of these shampoos and things will get rid of that, unclog the follicles, give you a chance to regrow some hair there. Anyway.
So where you want to go eat?
I don't know.
How was your smoke?
Oh, it's decent. I think I got a bad one out of the box here. I had some that were mind blowers out of that box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not as good as the Tempest. Tempest is a much more quality cigar.
Yeah, but for a couple of bucks.
Oh.
It's like those little Fuentes.
Oh, those Exquisitos.
Those are good for a couple bucks. Buck something?
He's got a $1.69. Everybody else wants about
$2.20.
They're going to go up about
April
25% April 1st. Bastards. I don't like it.
Now, what was your father saying about the banks not wanting to lend people money for businesses or whatever? Can you explain that to me? Because I caught some of that on the phone a few weeks back, and it makes a lot of sense, but...
Well, the banks are wanting people... In Texas, things are a little bit better than... Well, maybe a lot better than the rest of the country. But... typically, in a case where you've got a guy that was a perfect payer, owns a couple of businesses, perfect, making
good credit, paid on time,
not just good credit, just
outstanding,
golden, platinum credit.
Yeah, he could buy a building cash if he wanted to.
Anything, on even a small loan, an $80,000 loan, whereas typically a couple of years ago the bank would insist that he takes more money.
Right.
Okay.
Banks want you to take more money, right?
And would give it to him, signature, thank you, sir, best terms. Now want him to come up with half in cash. So if they want $80K, and then they'll even try to get the leasing agent to guarantee the other half of the loan for the client. My father just...
it's almost like they don't want people to be in business.
Well... The problem with all of this is that supposedly the banks have toxic assets on their books. In other words, these homes that they lent money on have decreased in value. The banks are completely upside down on these loans. And what's happening is, where we live, small businesses are in abundance. There are strip centers, there are warehouses, centers that are the backbone of this town. And businesses are folding up. They can't get the money to operating money. So these centers are going vacant.
There's a lot of vacant places all over town. High vacancy rates.
Oh, you ought to see it. You ought to see it elsewhere in the country. You're talking blocks and areas of towns with no businesses. They've all folded up. And so what happens? There's a landlord. There's a guy paying a note on the center.
With no tenants.
With no tenants. That's like paying a note on a car that you don't have.
Or a house.
Or a house that you don't have. So what's going to happen is, these landlords, what are they going to do? Come get me if you can. They're going to default. So the banks now are left holding even more worthless assets. What are you going to do with the strip center? Well, maybe the government will buy it and put up a training combat operation for, a citizen
reprogramming.
Yeah. Probably see a few of those go up.